Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. And if you're new here, I'm Jim, and this video is all about On1 Photo Raw 2022. I am going to take a couple of layers or a couple of images as layers, blend them with the luminosity mask, do some fun stuff, and come up with a photo that I love. And that's one of the things that I love about On1. I haven't done any videos in a while, but I want to dive back in. And as I said at the beginning of this year, I want to do some variety, so I definitely want to mix it up. On1 is one of my favorite products. It is supremely awesome. It's a great product. So I'm going to dive into this workflow and show you how I would do that in On1. Here's a photo. This was taken in Iceland, and this was a sunrise in an ice cave. It was as amazing as it sounds. I took a series of brackets, and I've got two that I want to blend because there's a piece of one that I like. I like this as my base photo. I like everything about this photo except this little section here where the light is coming through because it's basically kind of blown out. Now, if I back up one image, here's a darker photo from that bracket set where that light coming through is much better controlled. Now, it's not perfect, but it's way better than that where it's completely blown out. So with the power of layers and luminosity masks, I can do that real easy. So I've got this photo, 2898, as my base layer or my base image. I'm in the layers panel. I'm going to click plus to add a new layer. And it says, hey, do you want to do this? I'm going to go ahead and click add layer. And it pops up into this folder that I'm at, and I need to go get this one, which is 2897, add it as a layer, and it will just stick it on top. And now I'm going to have two images stacked over here in my layers panel. So as you can see, this one is turned on, it's on top, so that's what you're seeing. But if I turn it off, you can see there's my base photo. I like everything except that little spot where the sun is. And there's my new photo, which I added on top, which is all you can see right now. And what I like is that little thin sliver of light. And because it's the brightest part of the photo, this is a great place to use a luminosity mask. So if you're not familiar with all that kind of stuff, I've got countless videos about luminosity masks. I'm not going to delve into that. And honestly, I'm not doing a deep dive here on layers either. I'm just showing you this workflow. So look for my previous On1 videos in that playlist where I do talk about using layers and luminosity masks and all that. So I'm going to click on the masking icon, and I'm going to go ahead and click Lumen, and that will build a luminosity mask. And there, it's done, right? So if I view the mask, you can see the white parts, or the brighter parts, is where the mask is revealed. So white reveals, black conceals. You can see it's coming through there and there where it's white, and that's exactly what I wanted. Now, it's also showing up some here, which I don't really want. So I'm in paint out mode, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint out the mask here, and I'm just doing that at full opacity, no big deal. All I'm doing is removing that piece of the top photo from what's going to be visible to you. So now I can close the masking window. If I turn off this top image, which is my darker image, all I've done is I've masked in this bright part over here. So if I turn this off, you will basically see that's the bottom photo. I turn it back on. This is the new photo where I've taken that one little piece of the top photo, which is this bright part around the sun, and stuck it together with a luminosity mask and a layer to make this blended photo. Now what I want to do is go and edit this combined photo, but it's not really a combined photo. It's two separate layers. So because I'm on this top layer, if I start editing, I'm only going to be impacting what's visible on that top layer, which is the light coming through that hole, if you will. So what I'm going to do is create a stamped layer, which is going to sit on top of these two and allow me to edit the combined image. So right click and new stamped layer. And as you can see, it says it's merging, and boom, it's done. And so now I've got a new stamped layer on top. So if I turn this off, it doesn't look any different than what's below it, because what's below it is you're seeing as those combined two layers. But as I said, I'm unable to edit the combination until I have that stamped layer. So that's why I did that. Now I can go in and edit this combined photo to finish it up. So I'm going to start here in develop, and I'm going to go to about a 16 on a contrast. The highlights are coming down. I've got a lot of 16s here. I'm not really sure why. I went negative 16 on highlights, and I actually went up to 16 on midtones. Again, I don't know why, but 16 shows up a lot in this one. Shadows actually go up 31, so there's a little break from the 16s, my friends. There's a 31. My structure, which is going to add a little bit of crunch, that's going to about 30. Temperature is coming down by 10, so that's a -10, making the image cooler overall. So -10 there, but a +5 on tint, and that's giving a little bit of magenta. And then vibrance is going up by, you guessed it, 16. So that's where I am so far. So if I show you, if I turn this off, you can see that's where I was before, and with these edits so far, I'm there. So you can see that I'm really getting a lot of impact across this photo. But I'm not done. I want to do a few things to really round it out and make this image look the way I want it to look. So the first thing is I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to go get sunshine, and it does a really good job of popping that warm light. I'm going to increase the amount to about a 65 or 66, and my warmth is going up by 16. I don't really know how I ended up on 16 so much in this video, but I did, so it works. And saturation is going up by about 7. So if I turn this off, there it is before any of these sunshine adjustments, and there it is now. You can see I'm really just popping that warm section, which is really flooding that section with warm golden light, which I like quite a bit here. So now add new filter and color balance, which is super powerful, and I love it. What I want to do here is basically play off some of the cooler tones in the shadows with the warmer tones in the highlights. So in shadows, I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick a hue of about 240. Let's see, 241 is what I took in this example, and I went to a mount of about 45. So you can see if I turn this off, there it is before. It's a little bit more green, and now it's a bit of a richer blue in the shadows. But in the highlights, I want to go in, and I'm going to leave the hue at 0, which is in the red, but the amount is going to go to about 32, and so that's adding some warmth to those highlight areas, which is going to be that section of sky coming through that hole in the upper right here, and then of course the sun coming through that crevice or crack in the distance where that person's standing. So if I turn this off, there it is before color balance, and there it is now. So now that I see that, I actually might pull the amount down a little bit on the blue. I don't want to overdo it, but I do like that juxtaposition, the warm and the cool tones kind of playing off of each other. So there it is, a little bit more green, and now a little bit more blue and a little bit more warmth and that sort of thing. So I'm liking that quite a bit. I'm going to get a couple more filters and wrap it up. I'm going to get HDR look, and that's really just to add a little bit of crispy, kind of crunchy to all this ice all across the photo. I'm leaving it at the basic settings. I'm not even adjusting it at all. It's just applying globally, and I like it quite a bit. There it is before, and there it is now. Notice how it really also helps balance out some of the light where that sun is coming through, because you know, it is a high HDR, high dynamic range filter. So there it is before, and there it is after, and the compression and detail are fine. I do want a little bit of crunch. I don't want to overdo it, but I definitely want it to be impactful. And then I'm going to go in and one last filter, and that's just a vignette, and I'm going to get one of my faves, which is Big Softy, and I love how that adjusts. Also note that there are different types for whenever you apply the vignette. There's different types down here. So there's normal, which is like straight up, subtle, which is what it defaults to with Big Softy, which I like on this image. There's soft, and then there's priority. I'm going to stick with subtle, which is the default on Big Softy, but also you can click this little button right here, and then you can place the center of the vignette wherever you want it. I'm going to pull it slightly to the right of that window, because I want some of the light kind of coming that way, as well as, of course, coming in across the left. So if I turn this vignette off, there it is before the vignette, and there it is with the vignette. So it's darkened some of those edges of, obviously, that's what a vignette does, but it really, it enriches, I think, some of that, like these areas up here, that blue. I mean, look at that blue. Like, it looks nice there, and it's bright, and it's kind of crunchy, but now it looks kind of cobalt and kind of awesome. And also the light coming through here. Remember, back in color balance, I added some warmth to the highlight tones, and with that vignette applying, it's really bringing some of that, making it more rich, right? It's a bit more pink, which I think works with the bright light coming in from there. So that's a full edit, my friends. Let me show you the before and after, kind of the sliding window. And you know, there we go. Now this is before and after the stamped layer. So this is the blended exposure before any adjustments. And then this is the final edit after all the fun that I've had. And if you ever want to go back and just do a compare, you can see that was my base image without any blends or layer adjustments. And then I went and stuck a new image on top with a luminosity mask, which basically allowed me to pull back the darker tones there in that section of light coming through that hole. And then I went with a stamped layer and then stuck a bunch of edits on top of that stamped layer. That's my final photo. Hope it gives you some ideas. On1, honestly, it's just fantastic. I will do more videos about it. I'll do more stuff with layers and blended exposures and luminosity masks. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything in particular you want me to do in On1. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a fantastic product. Thanks for watching, my friends. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are doing super well. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, you guys take care of yourselves, and adios.